During Hollywood's golden age, being openly gay was not only career suicide, but also a potential social death sentence, forcing countless stars to live secret lives and hide their true selves. Among the most iconic examples is Rock Hudson, who became one of the era's ultimate leading men. Hudson was the epitome of the tall, dark, and handsome Hollywood heartthrob, starring in romantic comedies opposite Doris Day and sweeping dramas that made him an international sensation. Women adored him, and studios promoted his image as the perfect American male. But behind the scenes, Rock Hudson was living a life of secrecy and fear. Under immense pressure from his studio Universal and his agent Henry Wilson, Hudson dated women in carefully staged publicity stunts known as, quote, beard relationships, to quash rumors about his sexuality. He even entered into a marriage with Wilson's secretary, Phyllis Gates, to further cement his straight image, though the marriage was short-lived and largely understood to be a facade. Privately, Hudson navigated a world of hidden gay bars, discreet parties, and secret relationships, constantly aware that exposure could destroy everything he had built. In 1985, when he publicly announced that he had AIDS, the world was shocked, not only because of the disease, but because it confirmed long-suspected rumors about his sexuality. Hudson's revelation was a landmark moment in Hollywood and American culture, putting a face to the AIDS crisis and forcing a re-examination of the sacrifices made by gay men to protect their careers. His legacy now includes not just his film work, but also his courage in his final years, which helped shift public attitudes toward both AIDS and homosexuality. Alongside Rock Hudson, another striking example from the same era is Tab Hunter, a clean-cut golden boy actor and teen idol who captured hearts with films like Battle Cry and Damn Yankees. Hunter's blue eyes and surfer charm made him a favorite of young women everywhere, but his reality was far from the posters plastered on teenage bedroom walls. Throughout the 1950s, Tab Hunter carefully maintained the image of an all-American heterosexual heartthrob while living in fear of exposure. Unlike today, when coming out can sometimes elevate a star's profile, in the mid-20th century, a single whisper of homosexuality could end contracts, ruin careers, and even result in physical violence or blacklisting. Hunter's studio arranged dates with high-profile actresses to maintain the illusion, and gossip magazines were bribed or threatened to keep the truth buried. In secret, Hunter had relationships with men, including a rumored romance with figure skater Ronnie Robertson, and a long-term relationship with actor Anthony Perkins, star of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. The two lived double lives, navigating a labyrinth of lies to protect their careers and avoid scandal. In 2005, Tab Hunter finally came out publicly in his autobiography Tab Hunter Confidential, courageously sharing his story and detailing the intense fear and heartbreak he endured to keep his secret safe. His revelation shed light on a cruel and oppressive system that forced actors to sacrifice their happiness for box office success and public adoration. Today, both Rock Hudson and Tab Hunter are remembered not only as talented stars but also as symbols of the hidden struggles faced by so many during Hollywood's so-called golden age. Their stories remind us of the immense personal costs paid by those forced to conform to rigid societal expectations, and they serve as poignant examples of the strength it took to survive, and eventually to tell the truth. Raymond Burr is best remembered today for his iconic television roles as the brilliant defense attorney in Perry Mason and the gruff but kind-hearted wheelchair-bound detective in Ironside. His commanding screen presence and deep voice made him a household name and cemented his place in entertainment history. But behind this tough, authoritative exterior was a man living a life of secrecy and deep personal pain. Burr went to extraordinary lengths to protect his private life from the prying eyes of the press and the public. He fabricated elaborate stories about having been married to a woman who tragically died, and he even invented tales of having a child who passed away, all to deflect attention from his sexuality. In reality, Burr had a decades-long relationship with a man named Robert Benavides, an actor and producer he met on the set of Perry Mason. The two lived together for over 3 decades, sharing a life as partners while presenting themselves as business associates to the world. Burr left his entire estate to Benavides upon his death in 1993, a final act of devotion that confirmed what many insiders had long suspected. His efforts to protect his personal truth illustrate the intense pressure faced by gay actors in Hollywood's golden age, where even a whisper of homosexuality could end a career overnight. Despite the layers of deception he had to maintain, Burr continued to perform with a professionalism and charisma that captivated audiences, all while carrying the enormous burden of secrecy. His story stands as a testament to the human cost of fame in an era that demanded conformity above all else. Another tragic and complex figure from this era was Anthony Perkins, most famous for his chilling portrayal of Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Perkins was a talented actor with an intense screen presence, and his boyish good looks made him a heartthrob to female fans around the world. But like so many of his contemporaries, Perkins struggled under the crushing weight of living a closeted life in Hollywood. Early in his career, Perkins had relationships with men, including his rumored romance with fellow actor Tab Hunter. Perkins lived in constant fear that his sexuality would be exposed, jeopardizing his carefully crafted public image and the roles he was offered. The studios and his management pushed him into relationships with women as publicity stunts, and gossip columnists were kept at bay with strategic alliances and payments. In the 1970s, Perkins married photographer Barry Berenson, and they had 2 children together. Many have speculated that Perkins's marriage was an attempt to finally put the rumors to rest and escape the anxiety of being outed, though those who knew him understood the inner conflict that haunted him throughout his life. Perkins's struggle with his identity was compounded by the cultural climate of his time, when homosexuality was not only taboo, but also criminalized in many places. After his death from AIDS-related complications in 1992, more details about his private life began to emerge, sparking conversations about the damaging effects of Hollywood's rigid expectations and the tragic choices that so many actors were forced to make to survive. Anthony Perkins's legacy is complicated and deeply human. He is remembered as a brilliant performer who brought unforgettable characters to life, but also as a man who lived much of his life in fear, unable to fully embrace who he truly was. Together, Raymond Burr and Anthony Perkins represent the silent suffering and hidden resilience of gay actors during Hollywood's so-called golden age. Their stories remind us of the price paid by those who were forced to hide their true selves and serve as powerful examples of the courage it takes to live authentically, even if only in private. Today, we can look back and honor them not just for their contributions to film and television, but for the quiet strength they embodied in a world that was not ready to accept them. Cary Grant is often regarded as one of the most charming, suave, and versatile actors of Hollywood's golden age. His performances in classics like North by Northwest, Bringing Up Baby, and His Girl Friday made him a household name and cemented his image as the ultimate leading man. With his dashing looks, impeccable comic timing, and sophisticated air, Grant embodied the fantasy of the perfect gentleman. Yet behind the Hollywood facade was a far more complicated and private life. Throughout his career, rumors swirled about Grant's sexuality, particularly regarding his relationship with fellow actor Randolph Scott. The two met in the early 1930s and quickly became inseparable, sharing a home and living what many later described as a domestic partnership. Photographs from that time, often staged as casual home life scenes, show the pair lounging by the pool, working out together, or sharing intimate meals. These images were used by the studios to portray them as fun-loving bachelors, but many believe they hinted at something deeper. The press dubbed their shared residence the Bachelor Hall, and gossip columns speculated endlessly, but both men maintained public relationships with women to deflect suspicion. Grant was married 5 times, though many of these marriages were brief and often regarded by insiders as attempts to protect his image. In interviews, Grant consistently avoided discussing his private life, responding to rumors with humor or silence. Even after his death, the debate over his sexuality continued, with some close friends confirming that he and Scott shared a romantic relationship, while others insisted they were simply close friends. Regardless of the exact truth, it's clear that Grant felt forced to maintain an image that aligned with society's narrow expectations, sacrificing the possibility of living openly for the sake of his career. Meanwhile, Randolph Scott, best known for his roles in westerns like Ride the High Country and 7 Men from Now, projected a hyper-masculine persona on screen. Off-screen, he was more reserved and private, and his relationship with Grant became central to his story. Unlike many Hollywood figures who chased the limelight, Scott was content to live quietly, and after his career slowed, he withdrew from public life almost entirely. Insiders believed that Scott and Grant's bond was genuine and deep, lasting for years despite industry pressure to separate and hide their connection. Scott eventually married, and Grant moved on to other relationships, but their time together remains one of the most intriguing chapters in Hollywood history. Their relationship challenges the rigid stereotypes of masculinity and sexuality that dominated their era, and highlights the emotional toll that Hollywood's strict image control exacted on its stars. Both Grant and Scott lived in a time when even the hint of homosexuality could destroy an actor's career and lead to public disgrace. Despite this, they created a shared sanctuary in each other, a private world where they could, at least for a moment, be themselves. Their story has become legendary among Hollywood historians and LGBTQ+ advocates, symbolizing both the tragic cost of forced secrecy and the quiet resilience of love under impossible circumstances. Today, Carrie Grant is remembered as a symbol of old Hollywood elegance, while Randolph Scott is honored as a Western icon, but their shared story offers a more intimate and human glimpse into the realities faced by gay actors of their generation. Together, they stand as poignant reminders of the sacrifices made by so many in the name of image and survival. As society has grown more accepting, their story serves not only as a cautionary tale, but also as a celebration of love that managed to exist despite overwhelming odds, and a testament to the humanity behind the Hollywood glamour. Charles Loftton was one of the most celebrated character actors of Hollywood's golden age, known for his powerful, deeply human performances in films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Mutiny on the Bounty, and The Private Life of Henry VIII. Loftton was revered for his ability to portray complex, often tormented characters, a talent that set him apart in a sea of polished studio stars. While he was married to actress Elsa Lanchester for over 3 decades, their marriage was widely understood among insiders to be a companionship and professional alliance, rather than a traditional romantic relationship. Elsa herself hinted at this dynamic in her autobiography, suggesting that Loftton was gay and that they shared a deep friendship rather than a conventional marriage. Despite his enormous talent, Loftton carried the weight of his secret throughout his life, navigating an industry and a society where homosexuality was not just taboo, but criminal. His decision to live as he did was a survival mechanism, allowing him to continue working while protecting his private life from the unforgiving public eye. His story is a poignant example of the internal conflicts faced by many gay men of his era, a struggle to balance authenticity with the harsh reality of societal judgment. Meanwhile, Montgomery Clift, often referred to as Monty, represented a new type of Hollywood leading man, sensitive, vulnerable, and deeply emotional. Clift exploded onto the scene in films like A Place in the Sun, From Here to Eternity, and Suddenly, last summer, where his performances captivated audiences and critics alike. He was one of the original method actors, bringing an intensity and rawness to his roles that set a new standard in American cinema. Off-screen, however, Clift wrestled with profound personal demons and a deep fear of his homosexuality being exposed. He lived in constant dread that the studio system would destroy him if his truth ever surfaced. Friends and colleagues, including Elizabeth Taylor, who became one of his closest confidants, knew of his sexuality and supported him privately, but the public remained unaware. His internal struggles were compounded by a devastating car accident in 1956, which left his face partially paralyzed and fueled a painful descent into addiction and self-destruction. Clift's battle with substance abuse, combined with his suppressed identity, took a heavy toll on his health and career. Despite his obvious brilliance and the deep emotional connection he forged with audiences, Clift often felt isolated and tormented, unable to reconcile his public image with his private reality. After his death in 1966 at the age of only 45, the full extent of his inner turmoil became clearer, and he has since been remembered not only as a great actor, but also as a symbol of the tragic cost of forced secrecy. The stories of Charles Loftton and Montgomery Clift together highlight the heartbreaking reality faced by many gay actors during Hollywood's golden age. Both men were immensely talented, celebrated by millions, and yet both lived in fear of being discovered, forced to construct elaborate facades to protect their careers and avoid scandal. Loftton found some degree of stability in his platonic marriage and his powerful character work, while Clift spiraled into self-destruction under the crushing weight of internalized shame and addiction. Their experiences underscore the high personal price exacted by a culture that demanded its stars conform to rigid, heteronormative ideals and left no room for authenticity. Today, they are remembered not only for their cinematic contributions but also as tragic figures whose stories inspire empathy and understanding of the hidden struggles endured by so many. Their legacies stand as a testament to resilience in the face of impossible choices and as reminders of how far society has come and how far it still has to go in accepting and celebrating people for who they truly are. Raone Novaro was one of the brightest stars of the silent film era and early talkies, celebrated as a heartthrob and Latin lover who stole the hearts of audiences around the world. Best known for his leading role in the 1925 epic Ben-Hur, Novarro's smoldering looks and magnetic presence made him MGM's answer to Rudolph Valentino. But behind this carefully crafted image was a man living in constant fear of exposure. As a gay man in Hollywood's most unforgiving era, Novarro was forced to keep his relationships and identity hidden at all costs. His Catholic upbringing added another painful layer of internal conflict and shame, pushing him deeper into secrecy. While studios pushed him into heterosexual publicity stunts and romantic rumors, Novarro navigated clandestine relationships in private, always aware that a single slip could destroy his career. Tragically, his life came to an end in one of Hollywood's most brutal scandals. In 1968, Novarro was murdered in his own home by two brothers who believed he had large sums of money hidden in his house. The gruesome details of his death became tabloid fodder and overshadowed his once glorious career. In the years since, his story has become a haunting symbol of the danger and loneliness that often accompanied fame for closeted stars of his generation. Meanwhile, William Haynes was another silent-era actor who faced the harsh reality of Hollywood's intolerance. Haynes rose to prominence in the 1920s, becoming a beloved leading man known for his boyish charm and comedic timing. He was a top box office draw and seemed destined for a long, successful career. Unlike many of his contemporaries, however, Haynes refused to completely hide his truth. He was openly in a relationship with his partner Jimmy Shields, living with him despite industry pressure to conform. When MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer demanded that Haynes enter into a sham marriage to preserve his career, Haynes famously refused, stating he would rather live honestly with the man he loved than continue a life of lies. This bold stand effectively ended his acting career overnight. Forced out of Hollywood's spotlight, Haynes reinvented himself as an interior designer, where he found incredible success. He and Shields built a thriving business designing homes for some of the biggest stars of the era, including Joan Crawford and Carole Lombard. Their relationship endured for nearly 50 years, and they became known in Hollywood circles as the happiest married couple in Hollywood, a phrase often whispered with both admiration and curiosity. When Haynes passed away in 1973, Shields, unable to live without him, took his own life shortly afterward. Their enduring love story, while tragic, remains one of Hollywood's most touching examples of devotion in the face of societal rejection. Together, Raone Novaro and William Haynes represent two sides of the same coin, one forced into isolation and ultimately tragedy, the other sacrificing fame for love and finding peace outside the harsh confines of the studio system. Their stories reflect the brutal choices gay actors had to make during Hollywood's golden age, where careers, reputations, and even lives were constantly at risk. Novarro's legacy is a cautionary tale about the dangers faced by those who had no safe space to live authentically, while Haynes's story serves as an inspiring reminder that, even in the darkest times, love can triumph over fame and societal expectations. Both men, though forced to make impossible choices, left indelible marks on Hollywood's history. Today, they are celebrated not only for their contributions to film, but also as early symbols of courage and resilience within the LGBTQ+ community. As we look back on these 10 hidden stories from Hollywood's glittering yet shadowy past, we're reminded of how far we've come and how far we still have to go to create a world where everyone can live and love freely without fear. Their lives invite us to honor the truth, celebrate authenticity, and ensure that no one ever has to choose between their career and their true self again.